Very good gamers, how are we? This is Games and Chill, and we are in a new video in Yelan's legendary build.
私のことはイエランでいいわ。
The most wanted mole of all internet by players of Genshin Impact. A Xingqiu with steroids or a small mirror of Xi. Orina, the character par excellence for double hydro and one of the best sub-DPS of the whole game. Today we're going to see all the combinations, the weapon, the Chero, and the cone. When it works on certain computers and when it doesn't. What is the right rotation, and above all, how to turn Yelan into a monster that can literally destroy abysses. With cone and aqua, or at least that could do before the abysses became more and more difficult. So leave a good like, a good Bennett utility, subscribe, leave a good comment for the algorithm. We're going to go to the directs, link down here in the description. Thanks for enjoying the video and the channel. Remember that this is free for you and that it helps a lot to position the channel, to exploit this build and beat records and to recommend many more people and grow up. So thank you. And let's go with Yelan's legendary build. Well, Yelan, to start the build, there are two ways to build yourself, because basically there's a very big change when you have the cone or the C2. I have C3 even much later by challenges. In the community and by, but Yelan's key is cone, it's a before and after. Double your damage and the energy you need or use is another damn level, I mean. Well, that construction varies so much in artifacts. As you can see, I do not wear a full emblem as of course a weapon. We must bear in mind, and I will comment on it at the beginning of the build, that if you don't have the cone, there are very few occasions so strange, convoluted, and punctual that you usually won't recommend. Aqua Simulacra, if you don't have the cone, it's practically impossible to play Aqua Simulacra without the cone. So Yelan, if you want to take her to heaven, first you take out the cone and then you can get to think about getting the best. Genshin Impact. What second note? This arc is the second best arc of all Genshin Impact. Literally, this bow is going to serve you in any character in the whole game, and it's going to give you a lot of thanks. Now Yelan, what does it do? Usually you have to play it 1, 8, 10, most people. Why? Because in your normal attack, the most important thing that is reflected is the damage of the broken arrow. It's the only important thing about the normal attack. Well, this means that 5 seconds away from combat, you're going to light up your bracelet. By illuminating the bracelet, you are going to make this blunt arrow that does brutal damage and that can vaporize. Every time you hit, you see, 5 seconds that aren't in combat, the arrow lights up and puts the load in. Well, that arrow, plus there's a possibility that while with your elementary ability you hit an enemy. Up to 3 enemies increasing that percentage, it will also give you a chance to relight the bracelet too. I mean, Yelan, technically you can throw up to 2 arrows broken by rotation apart from. And apart from the ODI. Spoiler, what do people normally do? Elementary, ulti and elemental Yelan dark. E-towns what people do, arrows do not matter. The reality is that if inside elemental, ulti and elemental at the beginning of rotation, when you come in, you should have an arrow. Leave the load, or even not even the load itself, but the right click on PC or the normal attack button in command. Whoever plays with command loads the arrow very quickly, gives you time to throw it. You can throw it like the enemy's feet and he's going to hit because look at the area he's got and rents to throw that arrow. But that's what's in the normal attack. And I'd only recommend in principle raising the normal attack. 1. Anyone who wants to cron it triple because many people want to take it to heaven. Now, whoever makes the right combo throwing 2 broken arrows all over the combo of 2 ulti elementals and you will lose maximum 1. 3. Yelan Chicks makes you release 5 broken arrows at the beginning of rotation as if. So the normal attack actually rents when normal attacks become these special arrows. That you're going to be able to convolate with another kind of combinations. That is, it's only worth it if you're going to use it if it's 6, if you're going to be able to throw it twice in the combo, or if you're going to use it in general. If not, 1-8, 10-8. Now, explained all this, that no one really ever uses and cares exactly the same. The elementary only raises the scale of the damage of your own elementary ability. Let us remember that this elementary ability do, but you raise it, more damage it does, and in many teams that you carry some pyro like Xiangling, you will be able to vaporize your elementary ability. And I personally have gotten to put 300,000 with that elementary skill, and with Furina in some double hydro, I've come to put 500,000 with Yelan's elementary ability by Furina C2 by the hydro consonants. Because of the vaporization I do with Xiangling, because he's a Bennett team. Xiangling, Furina and Yelan, which is one of the best teams in the game that is not used much but is incredible. So, elementary ability has a lot of damage. Why do I say that to 8? Because who does not have the cone and does not have 2 skills? Elementaris in the end can do a lot of damage once, but Chero, with having it at 7 or 8, is more than enough. And the ulti? Ulti is its main source of damage in all respects, whether you have cone or Chero, or C2 or C3. The ulti is basically what needs to be maxed out. It has an unhealthy damage, is the damage that you can double or triple the damage from. Certain times when you have mostly cone and aqua and ulti, when the maxias will only give you more damage but also inflicted while in the field. So, what happens? That most people, if you have Fabonius and it is Chero, you will do elemental. If you have cone, you will do elementary ulti elemental, and if you want to hurry the combo that you can perfectly nothing. The more you enter the countryside, you will almost always have the mark with which to enter the field is to make elementary ulti elemental load. And after 2 elementals, you will have the broken arrow again, and the combo would be charged elemental ulti elemental loaded. Whoever makes it perfect will greatly maximize the damage, and whoever on top plays with some team along with Xiangling will vaporize. Not just 1 elemental, but possibly one of the 2 charged, and the damage increases greatly. People make this combo, don't make the combo of the loaded. First talent of Ascension, when in the team there is 1, 2, or 3 characters of different elementary types that track, and the maximum ant increases by 6, 12, 18, or 30%, respectively, i.e. hydro consonance, as you can see here, because we have a Nahida and a Kuki. And it says 3 different elementary types with me, which I understand that 3 passive loads are being activated, is increasing by 18% of the maximum life because there is approaching the 40,000 lifetimes that I'm going to explain now. You know that I always explain because life recharges it to critical proportions. According to Ascension talent, while the ulti is active, the damage of the character in field increases by 1% and inflates by 3.5 vital cost. Second, up to 50% maximum, this is the harm point inflicted on the character in the field if the ulti is used again while the intricate die is active. The previous effect will dissipate, i.e. basically you can't stagnate 50 plus 50, 100 per 100 per hour. Point and the theme of hooking enemies so that the elemental skill is rested. I do not know if it is reflected here. Attack it. I know that in some of the talents is reflected that when you hook enemies with the elemental look here is size when the lifeline explodes for each marked enemy, increases 34%. The ability that already land enters in state of eruption, that is for the arrow erupts was the talent that I told you that with the elemental, you can basically Yelan's combo character in the field gains damage inflicted more life for Yelan. The ulti is its source of damage and skill. Elemental because vaporizing it, and with elementary ability you have quite a chance to more enemies than reset is the bracelet. For the Ruptura arrow is that simple, and the now constellations well. The cone gives you 2 elementary skills with cooldown. 10 seconds with which to reside the 2 elementals in 20 seconds here. At the time there was the good one we will contradict. To Games and Chill, and they said it's not that the 2 10-second elementals don't match, because Yelan has 18 seconds, there isn't. Practically no Yelan team in the whole game that one of Yelan's team characters doesn't have 20 seconds of cooldown, with which the equipment notation must be adapted to 20 seconds teams with Xiangling equipment with mainly Xiangling and otherwise Yelan's mere teams, but I don't know if he plays any team with Ye who has 22 seconds. Yelan teams along with Baiju who have 20 seconds of cooldown on the ulti, and so on mainly teams where Yelan is played have 20 seconds, with which the 20 seconds always throw 2 elementals, number 1, number 2, all. People who play Genshin in the end don't play to perfection by reaching the exact 18, but even by getting used to it. to be played with teams and characters of 20 seconds of rotation that are many most end up playing unintentionally 20 seconds. And it always gives them time to throw the two elementals by rotation, so that practically Yelan's cone is like having the sacrifice of Xingqigu and what it entails of generating energy for Yelan itself, and for all the equipment if you do not have Yelan's cone. You're going to generate half the particles for the mood for the team in a rotation with what Yelan is going to be. Ultra mega super dependent on carrying the Favonius Yelan. If you don't have Yelan with cone in 95% of cases, only goes 2. Play with Favonius on some concrete occasion now. I finish explaining more of the cone. You could play Yelan Chero next to Shin. Q that generates many particles Hydro or next to Furina, and Furina, carrying Favonius and Yelan in that case, could carry the elegy of the end that equals the elegy, gives it 60% recharge, but does not give extra recharge to the team unlike the Favonius. But it is not. Most situations will not always give you Permalty, and Yelan to Chero in 95% of cases should lead to Favonius, because this literally is doubling the energy for Yelan himself and for the whole team, and you're always going to throw the two elementals, because at the beginning of the first rotation it makes no difference that the team is of rotation of 15. As for example, a team of Alekino Yelan Katsuha Bennett, where the largest CD is Yelan with 18 seconds. The first rotation of the team, you will always throw 2 elementary skills with Yelan, because you will always enter the field and always have the CD up there. 2 loads in the first rotation with which you will duplicate, and not only that, but a lot of times when you have them chatted accounts in the Abyss last us more than 1 rotation the holes. Then the cone Yelan is one of the constellations. Stronger than the whole game, literally. Now the C2, many people don't understand it, but it explains very easily. The C2 is interesting. But I wouldn't recommend that it be by Yelan C2, and the cone already does all the work that the C2 has to do what it does. It's every 1.8 seconds gonna give you an extra hit that does more damage, gives you a brutality of harm with Yelan or the character Inu. Feel not what difference if it gives you more damage. What difference is that it's going to apply you more Hydro, and it's going to be, let's say, complete applicator to C2 will not change you practically any equipment, especially those inside. The only equipment that more is going to balance with this extra application. The C2 are inside teams, and there wouldn't be much difference. A Hyper Bloom every 2 or 3 seconds, but the C2 can in no way be compared equally with the application of Xingqiu Tsai. Little more application to generate more blooms that become hyperlooms and hyperloom equipment, that is to say, if not already. The Hatham would benefit from this minimally, but does not overchange. The C3 is the last stress, the C4 for each enemy that you beat with your elementary ability. You will increase by 10% the life of the characters of the team, up to 40% included already. Zame is in a team of Hu Tao double Hydro with Furina Yelan. The C4 of Yelan will take the team to heaven because it will increase the life of Hu Tao, Furina and Yelan in the double teams. Hydro Yelan plus Furina is also a buffer for Furina herself. Yelan is interesting. It is important if more damage is broken person. C4 is not broken. It is better than other C4, other 5 stars. I usually say that they are very bad. It is better than other C4 is from another 5 stars. The C5 is the elemental plus 3. And the 6 does that basically can be converted into carry, or even if sub DPS can be lowered to the seal alone when broken are 3 with Yelan paste is 5. Basics and you leave, but the 6 makes you at the unitary level, and as an individual character increase your damage to being one of the 3 best characters with individual damage against bosses of the Abyss of the whole game, i.e. the 7 Yelan itself, is one of the best chicks of the whole game along with many others. The damage that can get you this chicks in burst of about 5-10 seconds is a damn nonsense. Now artifacts, well, I'll tell you 2 combinations. The combination when Yelan is Chero, and you need a little bit of more recharge, and also combine it with the Favonius Yelan, can play perfectly Emblem and will cast the Emblem set 100%, but maximum damage when Yelan has the cone and has the aqua will further enhance the damage if you get as you can. Z2 nobility for 20% damage to the ulti and 2 damage to Hydro for 15% damage to Hydro, both your ulti and your ability. Elementary enhancing your ulti mainly, and a little bit of your elemental. This set would only recommend if you have the cone and the few aqua, and you want to take it to heaven because it is the pick and roof of Yelan on the rest of occasions, mainly with Chero full. Emblem and still having Cone and Aqua, but if you still have construction problems and don't get to the recharge enough then. Emblem set because the 2 pieces gives you 20% recharge and the 4 pieces damage inflicted on the ulti in proportion. To your total recharge of energy follows 200 of recharge that I do not recommend because it does not need to reach 200, gives you 50% damage. In the ulti and no harm in your elementary ability now that they carry their status well again, contradicting the theme of that if the cone or the weapons and strange things that have been commented that in the end does not fit, or anyone uses them, the reality is that in no case, and it's a very big mistake, I'm going to recommend you wear recharge clock or life helmet. This are very strange things that have come to recommend by the theme of balancing things, by the theme that you have a water simulacra and does not get recharge, then well take Aqua but wear recharge clock and life helmet, and in the end you lose a lot of critical damage, you stay with very little critical proportion really. That's not the way to play Yelan, and you're going to lose in all cases efficiency. In the character, all cases and situations of Yelan are to live on the hydro clock, in the chalice, and critical damage in it. The helmet might carry probability at some time Yelan on the hull, maybe, but like Yelan when leveling up naturally, she raises with critical probability. The normal and the balance in most accounts is going to be that your helmet is damaged critical, but some case to balance can lead to probability, and now that you are looking for the substats, well again, we have V to differentiate whether it is Cone or Chero, because if you have Chero, in which case you will always carry the Favonius, as I explained to you. And in Z of Destiny, the Favonius will give you 61 recharge and the emblem will give you 20 recharge, with which Yelan, without doing anything, it's going to have 181 of recharging energy. That's enough when it's Chero with Favonius. The extra particles of Favonius and the emblem set of Destiny, if it is entirely sufficient, with which the emblem substats of Destiny with Favonius. And Chero isn't going to be recharged because you're going to spare the recharge, is going to be critical probability, critical damage, and life percent, and already you don't have to look for recharge because the recharge is left over from the Favonius and the emblem set. Now second case that I think many of you will be seeing the build for it because the rarin has come and you want to take out the cone and the water, or you already have cone and you have to take out the water, or you have taken out the water by a slip and you will take out the cone to balance that you have to get now. Yes, in your stat, now you have to prioritize the recharge, whether you carry full emblem or if you carry 2 and 2, which is the peak, the ceiling from Yelan, and you have to get between 165 and 175 of recharge, varying the equipment in priority after getting all that recharge. You have to maximize the ratio by approaching 70 and at least more than 200 critical damage by remembering, as you can see here. You can get to cap the ratio, but just look for 70-200 if you already go well, and then you have to look that in field with the hydro consonants and the passive of the active talent that is this that gives us life to try to approach 40,000. Those are the stats to take Yelan to heaven, and that maximizes its damage. So easy to approach 40,000 of life with Cone and Aqua, 100 between 165 and 175 recharge. And from there 70 probability and more than 200 damage repeat, as you can see here in this Yelan reached. Quite more important tip for you to know the construction if you carry 2 and 2 nobles and an hydro, as you see here, is slightly more complicated, the construction, because if you wear emblem, that equals with Cone and Aqua, you can wear emblem. Emblem will compensate you 20% recharge of the 2 pieces of the emblem set, with which those 20% recharge that would give you a full emblem. You can invest in more probability, more life, and perhaps more damage, up to 250 in the case of not wearing emblem. That compensates you 20 of recharge, as you are seeing on screen. It is more difficult to reach 40,000 life capio in proportion. Critical and enough recharge of energy to take that into account to bring Yelan to heaven. And now the weapons really is very easy to comment and is to reduce to the absurd clear. His best weapon is the Aqua Simulacra, and his best weapon free to play is the Arc. The Favonius already has no more, but if we want to go to free to play, I would also tell you that if you do not have an Arch of Favonius, R5, R4, R3 equal jumps if you have it in another character, and you cannot rotate it, the other weapon that would recommend you would be the Bow of the Sacrifice, because it will reset you. The Elemental Yelan will give you 30 of equal recharge, and it will work perfectly as If it were a cone reseating the elemental in fact, and this is already a curiosity of the video, there is a Yelan compo that is used with all. Riotasly because he is the accompanying character, and he's literally less recharged energy can get to have and feet. Team suffers where Yelan is played with sacrifice with cone, so that Yelan has 3 elementals to gain a lot of energy. For herself, and for the whole team, so that the Riotasly teams have all 3 elementals. But this is a curiosity, and you don't really play it, but there's the triple elemental Yelan sacrifice cone, and I've seen it enough as a curiosity nothing. More now out of the bow of Favonius and sacrifice if we get the cone and we don't have a 5-star arc like the Aqua. One of the best bows for Yelan, mix 1 is the last chord, because it literally gives us 48% damage to your ability. Final point a final R5 chord of the best free-to-play weapons for Yelan cone, and this is very important to repeat Connie. If it is Chero Favonius sacrifice, and as I explained before in 5% of cases, and only with Hydro consonants and only with Furina Favonius, or with Xingqiu that gives you a lot of energy and absorbing it with Yelan would have to go Yelan with the Elegy of the End, which is an Arc 5. Stars that came by the home a long time ago, and many of you have the Election of the End almost unused because you threw. It's for the home in that home banner, and I chose the End, and great if I'm in the comments because you know what I'm talking about, but if you don't have Elegy of the End to Chero sacrifice and Favonius point, don't play anything else. And now with Cone the last chord. Free to play is what I would recommend most for the 48 of year in your ultimate skill in your ulti, and then you can put the heavenly ones because it gives you 20 chance, 20 harm comes perfectly to the heavenly ones they can put it. Weapons that give you critical probability, critical damage to compensate if you already have tone, you can put the green stars of Tartadia, you can put the agitator of the lightning of me and mine. That will be on screen, or you can put the bow of the Enai, that also gives you 66 critical damage that can work for you to balance the proportion. Of course the Qua will be by. Always because it gives you 22% more critical damage than the first number, the first magic number line, and or more so, which is the same critical damage as the lightning agitator of me and mine, and apart from 20 years inflicted 16 of life with it, which obviously the Aqua is Yelan's bow, but if not, the bow of the Ine or the bow of me and mine are the second best options for Yelan, along with the celestial harps that gives you 64 of crit value, unlike 66 that give you the line arc. And the green star also gives you 66 of crit value, or the bow of me and mine also gives you 66 of crit value, would be their best weapons after the Aqua. And finally, the Yelan teams today are infinite many double combinations Hydro together. To Furina to give a double bonus inflicted damage to the character in field, mainly in here. If I'm going to investigate, I'm not going to do a video apart from better Yelan teams, but I'm going to explain it in the same video, so until the end basically. The 2 most powerful combinations of double Hydra with double good, the 3-year inflicted, are this computer that you see on screen, which is one of the most powerful hyperloops today in the game, and in fact on this team would even make up for that in Jingle. Carry Amber Prototype, the second or even the first most powerful combination of Yelan plus Furina for the double bonus. Year inflicted would be the double Tau Hydro, Xianyun Hunting Dragons with the Hu Tao combo of 2 normals, a loaded jump down that you're watching a gameplay over here in the background, and then the third, or it can also be second first combination. Stronger Yelan plus Furina is a combination of Alakino where the healer is also Green Shade Hunting Dragons ordered. Also has to be Xianyun is Alakino's second best team after the team you are watching on screen, but the team that you see on screen the best in slot is with Furina, and basically would be Alakino, Furina, Yelan, and Xianyun Hunting Order. Green Shadow Dragons here, Alakino wouldn't make descendings, mixes normal combo of normal attacks, but Xianyun so much without. The Green Shadow like the Hunting Dragons or is being a very powerful healer, activating the faces of Furina already gives you enough for Alakino to do his normal attack work. And I repeat, is Alakino's second best team for anyone who wants to. Free a Bennett and a Kazuha for a different team, a national, a cakes or whatever, and then continue to exist combinations from Yelan plus Furina, as well as other best teams against a single enemy of the whole game. That is Furina, Yelan, Bennett, Isle, and Xiangling is another of the best teams in the game from the combination of Yelan plus Furina, and then Yelan alone is no longer best in team slot where it was before Furina arrived, but Yelan at the time was best in slot of this team. But you're looking here at Furina's position on the same Hyperum team with Al-Haytham, Nahida, Yelan, Kuki was now Furina again, of course, and in some other combination I would be forgetting, but basically Yelan has always been very powerful, so there go Yelan's teams that basically the top 7 are the ones mentioned in the video say. I'm being forgotten by some national Yelan I've seen of Yelan Kazua Siangling Bennett either. Bad and has a lot of damage but does not perform the function to perfection unless Yelan out C2, but equally there they are. Yelan teams, now do leave in the comments people who have reached the end of the build how much total life. As your Yelan someone passes the 40,000 of life, how much critical proportion leaving them are of your Yelan in the comments. And do a flex down and a little bit more, you already know how to leave a good like Bennett. Subscribe to you, thanks for the support. To the channel, thanks for the repercussion of the channel, thanks for the algorithm, because in the end all this is the comment joke. For algorithm, but I literally support a lot for the video to be taught more and resume the more grow the channel and grow. Plus all this, and in fact we are preparing a very good positioning structure before NATLAN, so that when they arrive to NATLAN the channel explodes to incredible levels. And these thanks to you, so as I said, little more, and thanks for everything and see you later.